Hello everyone. Today we are going to study about endodontic access cavities. The outline is introduction, instruments for access cavity preparation, access cavity of anterior teeth, access cavity preparation for premolars, maxillary molars, mandibular molars, and clinical management of difficult cases for access opening. Now coming to introduction, access cavity preparation is defined as endodontic coronal preparation which enables unobstructed access to the canal orifices, a straight line access to apical foramen, complete control over instrumentation and to accommodate obturation technique. It is a well-established fact that success of endodontic therapy depends on main three factors: cleaning and shaping, disinfection, three-dimensional obturation of the root canal system. Now coming to objectives of access cavity preparation. First is to gain direct straight line access to the apical foramen. This helps in achieving improved instrument control because of minimal instrument deflection and ease of introducing instrument in the canal, improved obturation. Third is decreased incidence of iatrogenic errors. Then complete de-roofing of pulp chamber. It helps in complete debridement of pulp chamber, improving visibility, locating canal orifices, permitting straight line access, preventing discoloration of teeth because of remaining pulpal tissue. Then third is conserve sound tooth structure as much as possible so as to avoid weakening of remaining tooth structure. Now coming to instruments for access cavity preparation. First of all, we need access opening burrs. They are round burrs with 16 mm burr shank, 3 mm longer than standard burrs. Then access refining burrs. These are coarse grit flame shaped, tapered, round and diamonds for refining the walls of access cavity preparation. Third is surgical length burrs, then Munn's discovery burrs. This is the picture of burrs. Now coming to guidelines for access cavity preparation. Before starting the access cavity preparation, one should check the depth of preparation by aligning the burr and handpiece against the radiograph. This is done so as to note the position and depth of the pulp chamber. Place a safe-ended burr in handpiece to complete the outline form. The burr is penetrated into the crown until the roof of pulp chamber is penetrated. Commonly recommended access opening burr is round burr, that is to penetrate the pulp chamber. It prevents the overpreparation. Once the drop-in into the pulp chamber is obtained, round burr is replaced by tapered fissured burr. This is the guideline for access cavity preparation. Now coming to guidelines, when locating the canal orifices is difficult, one should not apply rubber dam until correct location has been confirmed. Second is remove all the unsupported tooth structure to prevent tooth fracture during treatment. Remove the chamber roof completely, as this will allow the removal of all the pulp tissue, calcifications, caries or any residuals of previous fillings. If pulp chamber is not completely de-roofed, it can result in contamination of pulp space, discoloration of endodontically treated tooth. The walls of pulp chamber are flared and tapered to form a gentle funnel shape with a larger diameter towards occlusal surface. Endodontic access cavity is prepared through the occlusal or lingual surface, never through proximal or gingival surface. If access cavity is made through wrong entry, it will cause inadequate canal instrumentation resulting in iatrogenic errors. Inspect the pulp chamber for determining the location of canals, curvatures, calcifications using well magnification and illumination. So these pictures depict how we are going to open the access cavity. The first picture tells that we are entering through the proximal side. That is wrong. The correct is through the lingual side above the cingulum. Now coming to laws of access cavity preparation for locating canal orifices. First law is law of centrality. Floor of pulp chamber is always located in the center of tooth at the level of cemento-enamel junction. Law of cemento-enamel junction. Distance from external surface of clinical crown to the wall of pulp chamber is same throughout the tooth circumference at the level of cement-to-enamel junction. Then law of concentricity. Walls of pulp chamber are always concentric to external surface of tooth. At the level of CEJ, this indicates anatomy of external tooth surface reflects the anatomy of pulp chamber. Law of color change. Color of pulp chamber floor is darker than the cavity walls. Law of symmetry. Usually canal orifices are equidistant from a line drawn in mesial and distal direction through the floor of pulp chamber. Law of orifice location. Canal orifices are located at the junction of floor and walls and at the terminus of root development fusion lines. Now coming to assess cavity of anterior teeth. First of all, remove all the caries and any defective restoration so as to prevent contamination of pulp space as well as to have a straight line access into the canals. Second, access opening is started at the center of the lingual surface. If it is made too small and too close to the cingulum, the instrument tends to bind the canal walls and thus may not work optimally. Direct a round burr perpendicular to the lingual surface at its center to penetrate the enamel. Once enamel is penetrated, burr is directed parallel to the long axis of the tooth until a drop in effect is felt. Now, when pulp chamber has been penetrated, the remainder of chamber roof is removed by working a round burr from inside to outside. This is done to remove all the obstructions of enamel and dentine overhangs that would entrap debris, tissues and other materials. Now locate the canal orifices using endodontic explorer. Sharp explorer tip is used to locate the canal orifices to penetrate the calcific deposits if present and also to evaluate the straight line access. Once the canal orifices are located, the lingual shoulder is removed using Gates Glidden drills or safe tipped diamond or carbide burrs. Lingual shoulder is basically a prominence of dentine formed by removal of lingual roof which extends from cingulum to approximately 2 mm apical to the orifice. After the straight line access of the canal is confirmed by passing a file passively into the canal, one should evaluate the access cavity using magnification and illumination. Finally, smoothing of the cavosurface margins of access cavity is done because rough or irregular cavity margins can cause coronal leakage through restorations. Also, smooth cavity margins allow better and precise placement of final composite restoration with minimal coronal leakage. Since the outline form of access cavity reflects the internal anatomy of the pulp space, though technique of access opening of anterior teeth is the same, the shape may vary according to internal anatomy of each tooth. Now coming to access cavity preparation for premolars, the basic steps of access cavity preparation is removal of caries and any other permanent restoration material if present. Determine the site of access opening on the tooth. In premolar, it is in the center of occlusion surface between buccal and lingual cuspal tips. Slight variations exist between mandibular and maxillary premolars because of the lingual tilt of mandibular premolars. Penetrate the enamel with the number 4 round burr in high-speed quadrangle handpiece. The burr should be directed parallel to the long axis of tooth and perpendicular to the occlusal table. Generally, the external outline form for premolars is oval in shape with greater dimensions of buccolingual side. Once the clinician's fields drop into the pulp chamber, penetrate deep enough to remove the roof of the pulp chamber without cutting the floor of pulp chamber. To remove the roof of pulp chamber and pulp horns, place the burr alongside the walls of pulp chamber and work from inside to outside. For removal of pulp chamber roof, round burr, a tapered fissure or a safety tip burr can be used. After removal of roof of pulp chamber, locate the canal orifice with the help of sharp endodontic explorer. Ideally, the canal orifices should be located at the corners of final preparation. Extension of orifices to axial walls results in mouse hole effect. Mouse hole effect is caused because of underextension of access cavity. This may result in hindrance to straight line access, which may further cause procedural errors. Remove any remaining cervical bulges or obstructions using safety tip burrs or gate grid drills and obtain a straight line access to the canals. It can be confirmed by passing a file passively into the canal, which should reach the apex or first point of curvature without any deflection. The walls of access cavity are then smoothened and sloped slightly towards the occlusal surface. The divergence of access cavity walls creates a positive seat for temporary restorations. Now coming to access cavity preparation for maxillary molars. Though the technique of access cavity preparation of molar is similar to that of anterior teeth and premolar, but because of anatomic differences, they are discussed separately. Remove all the carious portion or any restoration if present. Determine the shape and size of access opening by measuring the boundaries of pulp chamber mesially and distally and coronally on the radiograph. Determine the starting point of burr into the enamel. It is determined by mesial and distal boundary. Mesial boundary is a line joining the mesial cusp and the distal boundary is the oblique ridge. The starting point of burr penetration is on the central groove midway between mesial and distal boundaries. Now penetrate the enamel with number 4 round burr in the central groove directed palatally and prepare an external outline form. Penetrate the burr deep into the dentine until the clinician feels a drop into the pulp chamber. Now remove the complete roof of pulp chamber using tapered fissure, round burr or safety tip diamond or the carbide burr working from inside to outside. The shape and size of the internal anatomy of pulp chamber guides the cutting. Explore the canal orifices with a sharp endodontic explorer. All the canal orifices should be positioned entirely on the pulpal floor and should not extend to axial walls. After the canal orifices have been located, remove any cervical bulges, ledges or obstruction if present. Smoothen and finish the access cavity walls so as to make them confluent within the wall of pulp chamber and slightly divergent towards the occlusal surface. It is similar to that of any other access cavities. Cavity preparation, removal of caries and any restorative material if present. The enamel is penetrated with number 4 round burr on the central fossa midway between the mesial and distal boundaries. The mesial boundary is a line joining the mesial cusp tips and distal boundary is the line joining buccal and the lingual grooves. Burr is penetrated in the central fossa directed towards the distal root. Once the drop into the pulp chamber is felt, remove whole of the roof of pulp chamber working from inside to outside with the help of round burr, tapered fissure burr or the safety tip diamond or the carbide burr as it was done in maxillary molars. Explore the canal orifices with a sharp endodontic explorer and finally finish and smoothen the cavity with slight divergence towards the occlusal surface. Second molars with fused roots usually have 2 canals, buccal and palatal, though the number, type, shape and form of canals may vary. When 4 canals are present, the shape of access cavity is rhomboid, but when 2 canals are present, access cavity is oval in shape with wider dimensions buccolingually. Shape and size of access cavity may vary according to the size, shape and location of canal orifices. Thank you.